So, I finally reached the line. This will probably be a shorter video. It's only 2 chapters. Chapters 15 and 16 of A Storm of Swords. But I had to go ahead and make this video because I've come across the line that has escaped the books and entered the cultural zeitgeist of the internet with memes and everything else. I mean, you'd have to live under a rock not to have come across it. And that's the line, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." But what shocked me is that the memes and everything else around it, and this may be because I've never seen the show, so it was out of context for me. Uh, but everything on the internet I saw about it before I started reading lied to me. Or maybe it was just I who was the one who knew nothing. You knew nothing, Michael Kelley. You know nothing, Michael Kelley. Uh, uh, but online, the line seemed like a joke or a smug catchphrase or something like that. I didn't quite understand it, but in context, it's devastating. Ygritte isn't teasing Jon because he's awkward or anything like that. She's grieving. She's furious. She's talking about an entire worldview that Jon can't comprehend. And the really brilliant thing, the reason why after I read chapter 16 I had to stop and make this video, is because chapter 16 immediately echoes the same idea through Sansa. Sansa thinks about Eleanor and the other girls, they know nothing. So suddenly these chapters become linked by one central theme. What does it mean to know nothing? Jon knows nothing about the free folk. Sansa's new friends know nothing about suffering. And maybe both chapters are asking whether innocence is wisdom or blindness. What struck me immediately in Jon's chapter is how alien the wildlings still feel to him. Even after living among them, he keeps mentally recoiling. Especially the passage with Tormund. Jon insists, "I will not father a bastard." And from Jon's perspective, this is morally serious because Jon's entire identity has been shaped by that shame. He grew up as a bastard. He knows the wound of illegitimacy personally. But Tormund can't even understand the problem. Strength matters, or Tormund can't even understand the problem, and that disconnect matters greatly. Because to the free folk, children are simply children. Strength matters, freedom matters, survival matters. The legal and social categories of the Seven Kingdoms mean almost nothing beyond the wall. That's why Tormund keeps sounding simultaneously crude and strangely wise. Jon sees chaos, rape, theft, bastards, lawlessness. But Tormund sees something else. Tormund sees a people unbound. And that tension is fascinating because Martin refuses to make this simplistic. The wildlings aren't secretly perfect, noble savages. They're extremely brutal in some ways. But the civilized South is brutal too. I mean, the whole storyline with the Lannisters is exasperating. Like, just so brutal, even in the civilized South. Kings execute children, knights torture peasants, lords betray guest right, women are traded like property. So Jon's moral framework is beginning to crack. And that's why the line, "You know nothing, Jon Snow," hits so hard, I think. Because Ygritte isn't saying Jon is stupid. She's saying you don't understand grief. You don't understand what's vanishing. You don't understand the world you stand inside. And the emotional context of the line changes everything. Ygritte is crying after the song about the dying giants. Jon says it was only a song. Only a song. But throughout these books, songs are never just songs. I'm still convinced that the other song that we've been seeing is somehow important because it keeps on getting brought up. The song is about, but this song about the giants is about extinction. The giants are disappearing. The old world is disappearing. Magic is returning, but ancient peoples are dying. And Jon completely misses it. That's why Ygritte reacts so sharply. Because Jon approaches songs intellectually. The free folk experienced them historically. Which reminds me a little of Tolkien's elves. In Tolkien, songs carry memory. Entire ages survive through song. And Martin twists that same idea into something more poignant. The song becomes an elegy for a dying people. So when Ygritte says, "You know nothing, Jon Snow," she means you don't understand loss. You don't understand memory. You don't understand what it means to watch a world disappear. And honestly, I don't know if I did until this chapter. But then Martin pushes Jon into an even more uncomfortable place. Ygritte says deeds are truer than words. Just a massive line. Deeds are truer than words. Because Jon has spent the entire story defining himself through vows. His Night's Watch vows, his honor, his duty, his promises. But the wildlings judge truth differently. Not by vows, but by action. And the irony is painful because the Night's Watch itself is already morally compromised. Corin forced Jon into deception for a greater purpose. So now Jon is trapped between competing moral systems. The Watch says, honor your vows. The wildlings say, your actions reveal who you truly are. And Jon no longer fully belongs to either world. That's what makes his storyline so compelling right now. He's becoming culturally homeless. And then chapter 16 mirrors all of this through Sansa. And this parallel is brilliant. I would never have thought the parallel Jon and Sansa. Maybe Jon and Arya, but Jon and Sansa, that makes it even more brilliant, I think. Because two characters couldn't be more different. Sansa thinks they know nothing. At first, it sounds arrogant, but it's actually tragic. Because Sansa realizes she's lost something irreversible. The Tyrell girls still inhabit the world Sansa once believed in. Songs, romance, gallant knights, courtly dreams. And Sansa can't go back there anymore. One of the most poignant lines is Sansa pitied them, Sansa envied them. Such a perfect sentence. Because trauma creates that terrible split between pity and envy. You despise innocence because it's naive, but you also long for it desperately. Sansa's become older than her years. Not wiser in every sense, but wounded into maturity. And Martin quietly shows how violence permanently alters perception. The girls talk about romance. Sansa imagines political murder. They dream of songs. Sansa imagines gutters running red with blood. That contrast is just chilling. And Marjorie fascinates me more every chapter, I think. Because unlike Sansa, Marjorie actually understands power. She's not naive in the same way. She knows Joffrey is cruel. She just believes the Tyrells can control him. And honestly, from a political standpoint, that belief makes sense. Loras, her brother, is in the King's Guard. There's the power of Highgarden, and the Reach is behind her. She thinks we can manage this monster. But Sansa sees something deeper. Cruelty eventually escapes containment. You can keep Mr. Hyde in for a little while, but eventually he's going to get out. Eventually Jekyll's not going to be able to contain him anymore. You cannot permanently manage sadism. And Sansa's fear becomes prophetic. She says or maybe she thinks the realm might have a second Kingslayer. That line is incredible because it invokes Jaime directly. The possibility hanging over the chapter is this: what if Loras kills Joffrey to protect Marjorie? Suddenly, the entire history of the Kingslayer echoes in the background. And the truly tragic thing is that Marjorie still partially lives inside a song. She compares herself and Loras to Prince Aemon and Queen Nerys. But Sansa knows nothing. But Sansa knows songs don't protect people. To her now, from where she's come, because of Joffrey's cruelty, to her songs lie. Or at best, they simplify. Reality bleeds. So, what ties these chapters together is the phrase, "You know nothing." Ygritte says it emotionally. Sansa thinks it mournfully. And together they reveal one of the core themes, I think, that knowledge often comes through suffering. Jon begins learning that civilization is relative. Sansa learns that romance can conceal horror. And both discoveries isolate them. Because once innocence is gone, you cannot simply recover it. You can imitate it, perform it, remember it, but not return to it. You can't be innocent again. That's why Sansa both pities and envies the Tyrell girls. And it's why Ygritte sounds almost heartbroken when she says, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." It's not mocking, it's mourning. So these chapters are quieter than battles or betrayals, but they may be some of the most important yet, because this is where the characters' inner worlds begin changing permanently. Jon starts realizing that morality is larger and stranger than the rules he inherited. Sansa realizes she has crossed a boundary she can't uncross. And both chapters ask the same haunting question: is innocence goodness? Or merely ignorance waiting to be shattered? And maybe the cruelest truth in the whole series is this: the moment you truly understand the world, you lose the ability to live inside the songs. Which is very poignant, a very poignant thought. A bit cynical. Uh, it's but very poignant too. But anyway, I'll see y'all next time. Maybe next time will be more chapters, but I don't know. But that's chapters 15 and 16. I'll see y'all next time.